Hello, this is Tom Medilio, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the Friday, July 3rd issue of the Democrat Chronicle and the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Please enjoy. Meaning of Revolution. Ariane Holdscombe. Like Americans today, the people living in the United States in 1826 were prepared to celebrate a milestone for their country. July 4th of that year marked the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and it was what was known as the Jubilee of American Independence approached. Americans realized that the founding generation was dying off. They wanted to take advantage of the founders' insight while they still could. This meant soliciting memories and advice from the signers of the Declaration, only 3 of whom were still alive. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams were the men most closely associated with the independence movement, yet they both lay dying, and both of them declined invitations to attend festivities planned for July 4th. But they were able to answer letters from younger men interested in their perspective on the revolution and subsequent history they had helped shape. As an Adams scholar and someone who interested in how he is remembered, I have studied with interest in his response to the questions posed to him. He also wrote a good deal about the revolution to his friend and one-time rival, Jefferson. These 2 men, who had worked well together during the American Revolution, could not have been more different. Both had thought long and hard about what the American Revolution meant to them. They did not always agree. If Americans today are looking for a unified version of their country in their own 250th celebrations, they will not find it with Adams or Jefferson. Rival friends. After the Revolutionary War, Adams and Jefferson became political rivals. They disagreed about how powerful the federal government should be and on foreign policy at a time when England, France, and France, once again at war, were presenting challenges to the country. Jefferson founded the Democratic Republican Party to counter the influence of Alexander Hamilton's Federalist Party. While Adams never formally aligned with the Federalists, he agreed with many of their policies, especially on foreign policy. As a result, the friendship between Adams and Jefferson unraveled. For years, they did not speak or correspond until a mutual friend, Benjamin Rush, encouraged their reconciliation. On New Year's Day of 1812, Adams was the first to reach out. He used the excuse of sending Jefferson a pamphlet written by his son John Quincy, saying that it was from one who was honored in his youth with some of your attention and much of your kindness. Adams continued in casual language to tell Jefferson about the family and wished him a happy new year. Jefferson responded warmly, telling Adams, "A letter from you calls up recollections very dear to my mind." From that time on, the two wrote to each other on a regular basis, discussing every topic imaginable, from agriculture to religion. Yet it was clear their past was on Adams' mind when he wrote, you and I ought not to die before we have explained ourselves to each other. In the process, they revisited the days when they worked together to form a new nation. They reflected on the meaning of the United States' birth. They agreed that writing a history of the American Revolution was next to impossible. Adams wrote to Jefferson, "Who shall write the history of the American Revolution? Who can write it? Who will ever be able to write it?" The problem was, as Adams saw it, was that so much was done in secret. Nobody recorded the debates and speeches of the Continental Congress, the governing body during the Revolution. Therefore, how could a true history ever exist? Jefferson agreed. After restating Adams' question about who could write a true history, Jefferson's response was nobody, except merely its external facts. On this, they could agree. Some of the specifics, they did not. Fundamental difference. In old age, Adams remembered vividly how he convinced Jefferson to write the Declaration of Independence. One historian has argued that Adams' memory seems a bit too clear here, and suggested he was working to elevate himself in the process of telling the story by claiming he alone persuaded a reluctant Jefferson to take on that task. However, scholars still accept Adams' version of the event. And Jefferson remembered the incident quite differently, stating he was urged by the entire committee charged with producing the Declaration, not just Adams, to take on the task, and that he was happy to comply. More important than the details was the ultimate interpretation by these two men of what they had accomplished 50 years before. What their letters written after the Jubilee Committee's invitation reveals is a fundamental difference in their attitudes about the human spirit. Adams wrote that he appreciated the invitation and was sorry to decline. He called the birth of the United States a memorable epoch in the annals of the human race. Yet he also demonstrated his realistic view of human beings, that the independence movement would form the brightest or blackest page, according to the use or abuse of those political institutions, but by which they shall be shaped by the human mind. Adams understood that people interpret history according to their own circumstances. He was a realist who could not bring himself to accept the fundamentally optimistic view that humanity was always moving toward liberty. Jefferson, on the other hand, was more hopeful about the revolution's impact on the world. He believed that the Declaration would be the signal of arousing men to burst their chains. The entire letter to the Jubilee Committee offered an optimistic view of the future in which the human race was always progressing towards freedom. When Adams and Jefferson died on July 4th, 1826, their lives took on new meaning. And eulogizing them, House member Daniel Webster told the American public, "They are no more. They are dead. But how little is there of the greater good which can die to their country, yet they yet live, and live forever." Now, 200 years later, Americans still look to these founding fathers for inspiration. However, what Adams and Jefferson just demonstrate is not unity. Instead, they exemplify the capacity for people to disagree and yet work together for a common cause. New York heatwave breaks records across the state. Victoria E. Frelly. 2 New York cities set daily record high temperatures Wednesday as the state's first major heat wave of the summer intensified. Several days of dangerous heat are expected through Friday, with heat index values forecast to exceed 100 degrees across much of the state. Some parts of New York could continue to experience dangerous heat into Saturday, the Independence Day holiday. Here's a look at just how hot it got across the state. Syracuse, Binghamton, Binghamton said record highs. According to the National Weather Service, Syracuse reached the 96 degrees at 4:16 p.m. Wednesday, breaking the previous daily record of 95 degrees, which was set in 1931. Binghamton also set a new record, reaching 91 degrees at 4:29 p.m. That broke the previous record. The previous record of July first at 90 degrees, set in 2018. Keepies was New York's hottest city. 7 New York cities have reached or exceeded 90 degrees. He's at 4:18 p.m. Wednesday, July 1st, according to National Weather Service observations. Poughkeepsie was the hottest, climbing to 98 degrees at 4:18 p.m. How hot did it get across New York? Poughkeepsie was 98 degrees. Syracuse was 96 degrees. Both Rochester and Albany were at 94 degrees. New York City Central Park and Binghamton were both at 93 degrees. Watertown 91, Buffalo 87, Long Island 84 degrees. Thursday, June 30th highs. Rochester 92 degrees. Buffalo and Poughkeepsie 90 degrees. Syracuse 98 degrees. 89 degrees. New York Central Park 87 degrees. Albany and Binghamton 86 degrees. Islip, Long Island 85 degrees, and Watertown 84 degrees. Okay. Your guide to parades, fireworks, and more. The United States of America celebrates 250 years old on July 4th, 2026, a time for Rochester area residents to celebrate and reflect, in some cases perhaps even protest. Here is a comprehensive list of things to do, including parades and festivals and fireworks to celebrate Independence Day and the semi-quincentennial in Rochester and surrounding communities. The occasion of the semi-quincentennial might not be quite the red, white, and blue extravaganza that marked the bicentennial year in 1976. America reaches this occasion at a time of intense political polarization and deep concerns about affordability and new technologies like artificial intelligence. Still, the weekend of July 4th, 2026 creates opportunities to learn more about our nation, its people, and history, including by visiting historic sites across western New York, and elsewhere in New York. And for many, 4th of July weekend is an opportunity to attend parades and fireworks spectaculars in our towns, villages, and our cities. Where to celebrate America's 250th around Rochester area top celebrations. First, we have the ESL Ballpark celebration. Live music, food, and family fun at a fireworks finale and all one unforgettable summer United States celebration website. That's good. America 250. Yeah. A commemoration with Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass, Susan B. Anthony Museum and House, 19 Madison Street, Rochester, 4 or 5:30 p.m. July 3rd. This free community event will feature historic speeches by Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass to help attendees understand the significance of the national milestone. Canandaigua, 4th of July, 2026, all day, Richard P. Outhouse Memorial Park. Join us for a full day of community celebration as we honor 250 years of American independence with family-friendly activities, live entertainment, and a spectacular fireworks display to close out the evening. The town of Canandaigua's website states, downtown Rochester, July fireworks, 10 p.m. The Broad Street Bridge and Court Street Bridge will be closed to vehicular traffic for pedestrian viewing. Bring your friends and a chair, the city's website states. Liberty in action. 1976 to 2026, Genesee County Village and Museum, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. July 4th. Enjoy a full day of patriotic fun, immersive experiences, and good old-fashioned revelry. The museum website states, Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra post Red Wings game, concert, and fireworks. ESL Ballpark on July 3rd, 6:05 p.m. A Red Wings player will sign a 20-minute autograph session. That starts 45 minutes before the first pitch. A baseball team's website states, where to watch the July 4th fireworks in Greater Rochester. Downtown Rochester July 4th fireworks, 10 p.m. Red Wings game post fireworks, July 3rd and 4th ESL Ballpark. Henrietta, July 4th fireworks, 9:45 p.m. Veterans Memorial Park, music and other celebrations begin at 4 p.m. The fireworks begin at 9:45 p.m. Greece Old Fashioned 4th of July fireworks, 9:45 p.m. Greece Town Hall campus music by Marshall Tucker Band and other events begin at 4 p.m. Ironically, July 4th fireworks. It's July 9:45 p.m. Town Hall, earlier events all day. Town of Canandaigua fireworks, dusk, Richard P. Outhouse Memorial Park. America 250 celebration, July 12th, ESL Ballpark. Independence Day parades at Monroe and Ontario counties. July 4th parade, 9:30 a.m. Village of Fairport. And Ironically parade, 11 a.m. July 4th, Canandaigua. July 4th parade, 10 a.m. Main Street. Rochester area July 4th festivals. Old-fashioned 4th of July celebration in the town of Greece, 5 p.m. July 4th, Greece Town Hall area. The day will begin with a 5K Freedom Run and the Scooby Stars Kids Fun Run. After the races, there will be a break before the public is invited back to Greece Town Hall in the evening for live music, kid-friendly activities, and food trucks. It's a performance by John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band will headline the festivities before the fireworks celebration. Irondequoit 4th of July Festival, 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. to 11:15 p.m. July 3rd and 8 a.m. to 11:15 p.m. on 4th of July, 450 Skyview Center Parkway. This two-day festival will feature similar and unique programming. Both days there will be a craft fair and market, a sensory space, family activities including food trucks, a beverage garden, kiddie play park, and kids zone inflatables, and live music. On the first day, the event will feature a reading of the Declaration of Independence, the Seneca Park Zoo Mobile, a cornhole tournament, and the street dancing. On the second day, July 4th, the event will feature a 10K and 2-mile run, a parade, a sidewalk chalk contest, and a watermelon eating contest, and, of course, fireworks. Okay, real quick, though, before we move on, note to readers and listeners. We will not be printing a paper on Saturday, July 4th, but we will be providing it to you via the e-newspaper. You can always find the latest news on our website, mobile app, newsletters, and social media. Subscribers can access the e-newspaper by going to our website and clicking on the newspaper in the black navigation bar. New York City's ranked for summer staycations. 4 cities in New York made Wallet Hub's best and worst cities for staycations list. Oh boy. According to Wallet Hub, 72% of Americans plan to travel this summer, but inflation may force many people to adapt their plans to be more budget-friendly vacation options. This could include taking a staycation, where you plan a trip in your home city, making it a more affordable and accessible vacation. It's fun to visit an exotic location on a vacation, but during rougher economic times, a staycation could save you a lot of money, and while being just as memorable. Wallet Hub analyst Chip Lupo said, not only do you avoid the cost of overnight accommodations and minimize travel costs, but you can also discover all kinds of fun activities close to home that you might not have tried out otherwise. To determine which cities offer the best experiences for staycations, Wallet Hub compared 182 cities across 41 indicators, like parks per capita and average meal prices. Here's how the New York cities are ranked. Oh boy, this is gonna be a long one. Now, do New York cities offer good staycations? Yes and no, according to Wallet Hub. Now look, while New York City is ranked as 22nd second best city for staycation, Yonkers ranked as the second worst city for a staycation. Yonkers ranked 181 out of 182 cities in the study, with an overall score of 26.23. It scored the number 123 spot for the recreation rank, number 182 for the food and entertainment rank. Oh boy, that's bad. And the number 170 for the rest and relaxation rank. On a brighter note, New York City ranked number 22 out of 182 cities with an overall score of 53.66. The Big Apple will score the number 4 spot for the recreation rank, number 44 for the food and entertainment rank, and number 146 for the rest and relaxation rank. Other New York cities in the list include Rochester at number 54 with an overall score of 48.09, and Buffalo with an 85 with an overall score of 44.22. Rochester scored number 52 for the recreation rank, number 40 for the food and entertainment, and number 128 for rest and relaxation. Buffalo scored the number 51 spot for the recreation rank, number 56 for the food and entertainment rank, and number 155 for the rest and relaxation rank. Now here are the top 10 best cities for staycations according to WalletHub. Orlando at number 1, Cincinnati at number 2, number 3, Las Vegas, number 4, St. Louis, number 5, Honolulu. I believe I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Number 6, Salt Lake City. Number 7, Atlanta. Tampa, Florida, number 8. Chicago at number 9, and Portland, Maine for number 10. Now here are the bottom 10 worst cities for staycations. At number 173, we have Oakland, California. Number 174, Santa Ana, California. Number 175, Newark, New Jersey. Number 176, Hialeah, Florida. Number 177, Laredo, Texas. Irving, Texas, number 178. Kula visit to California at 179. Fremont, California, 180. 181 has Yonkers, New York, and the worst city for staycations at number 182 is Pearl City, Hawaii. So, how did WalletHub assess the best cities for staycations? To determine the best and worst staycation spots, WalletHub compared 182 U.S. cities, including the 150 most populated cities, with at least 2 of the most populated cities in each state across 3 dimensions: recreation, food and entertainment, and finally rest and relaxation. The recreation category analyzed these factors: public golf courses per capita, tennis courts per capita, swimming pools per capita, basketball hoops per capita, baseball and softball diamonds per capita, parks per capita, playgrounds per capita, walk score, bike score, or bike rental for cities per capita, hiking trails per capita, shopping centers per capita, water and amusement parks per capita, boat tours and water sports per capita, miles of bicycle lanes, paths and routes per square mile. Next up, we got the food and entertainment category, which analyzes these factors. We've got movie costs, average price of 2 tickets to the theater, bowling costs, average cocktail price, nightlife options per capita, casinos per capita, festivals per capita, museums per capita, zoos and aquariums per capita, paintball fields per capita, arcades per capita, presence on TripAdvisor's top 25 amusement parks or water parks list, theater and concert halls per capita, coffee and tea shops per capita, ice cream and frozen yogurt shops per capita, beer gardens per capita, restaurants per capita, restaurant meal cost, prevalence of affordable restaurants with 4.5 plus 5 or more stars, diversity of restaurants, finally, the rest and relaxation category analyzed these factors: the cost of house cleaning service, spas and wellness centers per capita, massage costs, beauty salon costs, public beaches per capita, idealness of summer weather. This data was used to create the ranking as was collected as of May 11th, 2026, and was sourced from multiple entities including WalletHub Research, the U.S. Census Bureau, TripAdvisor, and Yelp. Alright, you are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Somali Independence Day brings celebration to Parcel 5. Steve Howe. Rochester. There was laughter, signing poetry, and prayer when Rochester's Somali community celebrated Somali Independence Day on July 1st at Parcel 5. Dozens turned out for the event, a fraction of the city's Somali population, with many dressed in the light blue and white of the country's flag. The gathering brought in those young and old, treating them to food, games, and a history of the country's journey to independence. This is a very heartfelt event, as you can see. People are happy. They are feeling a sense of belonging. They're part of the community, said Hani Ali, a Somali refugee and founder of Mental Health Education and Legal Code for Refugee Rights. Even though we have been here for years, 20 plus years, we've never celebrated like this. Despite the sweltering heat and some breezy wind, the crowd for the event continued to file in throughout the evening. Fear of immigration and customs enforcement kept some in the community away, Ali said, but those who came did so with pride. Alright, on the stage with a flag-draped podium, children performed cultural dances while music played over speakers. It's just amazing to see that they're able to have the strength to come out, Ali said. It takes courage for families to come out, and I'm thankful for them to even come out. State Senator Jeremy Cooney was one of the sponsors for the event, which took place across from his downtown offices. A member of his staff, Manya Abunar, is part of the Somali community. As an immigrant myself, I know firsthand that people have to come to this great country, are looking for a better life, and deserve to have an American opportunity, Cooney said in his remarks. President Donald Trump has frequently targeted Somali immigrants, calling them garbage, fraudsters, and gang members. He threatened to end the temporary protected status program for Somali refugees and halted all immigration applications from the country. We stand together as a Rochester community, united with a message to those policymakers and people in our country who want to close our border, but that's not progress. That is not what our country needs, Cooney said. Born in a refugee camp, Ali has never seen Somalia, and many of the children dancing and playing with bright smiles at Parcel 5 that were born in the United States haven't either. But they were still dressed in sky blue and white stars, holding on to their cultural heritage and identity. The goal is for them to continue to hold onto the culture while being part of the fabric of the community they live in, Ali said. I want to make sure the Rochester community, the city of Rochester, understands that we belong here. We belong as a part of the Rochester community, she said. Bid to dismiss state's case rejected. Jonathan Stemple. New one. For me, at least. A federal judge rejected Meta Platform's bid to dismiss a lawsuit by 29 U.S. state attorneys general accusing it of designing Facebook and Instagram to addict children and knowingly concealing the harm from the public. In a decision late June 29th, U.S. District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers in Oakland, California, denied Meta's motion to dismiss claims based on deception, unfair practices, and violations to the federal Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. The judge also said Meta did not comply with that law's notice and parental consent requirements and granted summary judgment to the states on that issue. Meta said in a statement, "We strongly disagree with these allegations and are confident in the evidence will show our long-standing commitment to supporting young people." Really. Gonzalez-Rogers also oversees related multi-district litigation by more than 2,600 individuals, school districts, and local governments over whether social media platforms addict children. Meta downplays harms. The state said that research has shown that children's use of Facebook and Instagram could lead to depression, anxiety, insomnia, interference with education and daily life, and self-harm inducing suicide. Meta countered that the Attorney General had no evidence it misled consumers about its platform's alleged addictiveness, including in congressional testimony by CEO Mark Zuckerberg. The Menlo Park, California-based company said this was because social media addiction is not an established psychiatric condition, and therefore statements that its platforms are not addictive could not be false. Meta also said it didn't violate the children's online privacy law because it directed Facebook and Instagram to a general audience, not just children under age 13. Judge finds factual disputes. In a 38-page decision, Gonzalez-Rogers found material factual disputes over whether Meta's social media platforms are predictive, whether Meta falsely denied it designed them that way, or whether it partially directed the platforms at children. The AGs represent a reasonable interpretation of Meta's statement that Facebook and Instagram are not designed in ways that cause teens to compulsively use the platforms to their detriment, she wrote. To the extent plaintiff's evidence shows that the platforms are in fact designed to do just that, a jury could reasonably find the statements were untrue to a reasonable person. The trial over California, Colorado, Kentucky, and New Jersey's claims against Meta is scheduled for August 18th, as court records show. Important change for Canandaigua, July 4th fireworks. Both the city and town of Canandaigua will be celebrating the red, white, and blue in a big way. But first, a note about fireworks. The display will happen at dusk on the 4th of July at Richard P. Outhouse Memorial Park in the town of Canandaigua, not at Canandaigua Lake. Repeat, not at the lake. Alright, now that that's clear, the fireworks will continue will conclude all day Independence Day events and activities in both the city and town, which the Finger Lakes Visitors Connection, Canandaigua YMCA, and other community groups also are partnering on. The theme, of course, is the country's 250th anniversary, and this 250-year journey is a reminder that a great nation is built by the slow, deliberate work of collaboration and debate, Mayor Thomas Leon said. If a foundational blueprint was drawn, ambitious, complex, and intentionally unfinished. Here in Canandaigua, where George Washington's emissaries and the Haudenosaunee, I can't read that, forged a lasting peace in 1794, we are reminded that democracy is an active partnership. Our duty today is to steward our community, assets for our foundations, and do the hard work necessary to deliver a more perfect, sustainable union for the next generation. Now let the celebrations begin. Constellation Brands Marvis Sands Performing Arts Center is helping the community experience with an early patriotic start to the celebration. The Canandaigua's annual 4th of July parade. All parade entries, including float decorations, music, and performance experiences, will be adhering to the 250th celebration of the America theme. Lineup for parade entrance is 9 a.m. July 4th. Colorful floats, marching bands, veterans, first responders, local organizations, and community groups step off at 10 a.m. from City Hall. Marchers will head down Main Street past the parade judging stand at Commons Park on their way to Canandaigua Lake. If you miss the parade, the Finger Lakes TV will broadcast at 7 p.m. July 4th and 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. on both July 5th and 6th. Leon said, and residents and visitors are invited to spend time at Kershaw Park or other city parks at the parade's end. Visit downtown businesses throughout the day or head to Outhouse Park in the town of Canandaigua for more patriotic holiday events and activities. Hey, speaking of which, free activities at Outhouse Park start at 1 p.m. on July 4th with a ceremonial cannon blast and run the rest of the day until the fireworks are set off at dusk. Here's what else is happening. Family-friendly games and activities, such as a potato sack race, pickleball tourney, free throw shooting contest, pie eating contest, and more are planned. A lot of contests. Check ahead, as some events require registration. Open park space and playgrounds are also available for fun times. Food trucks and vendors will be there too. Enjoy your local beer and wine too, if you're 21 and older. The Rockin' Boots Band performs from 2 to 5 p.m., followed by the Midnight Storm Band from 6 to 9 p.m. Fireworks at Outhouse Park. The festivities will conclude with a special 250th anniversary fireworks show at dusk, lighting up the sky over Outhouse Park and serving as the grand finale to a historic milestone celebration, and said Canandaigua Town Parks and Recreation Director Greg Reynolds. This event represents the spirit of the collaboration and showcases the pride, unity, and excitement that make the greater Canandaigua community such a special place to work, live, and visit, Reynolds said. Attendees are encouraged to arrive early to secure a viewing point. Fireworks will be launched from behind the Motion Junction Inclusive Playground. Bring chairs or blankets. For more details, Outhouse Park is at 22550 Outhouse Road. Canandaigua Outhouse Road will be closed from Morton Junction Inclusive Playground to North Buffalo Street for the event. One dead after fiery Naples crash. Rescues made from burning vehicles. Victoria Friday. Victoria. One person was killed, and 4 others were rescued by bystanders after a fiery 3-vehicle crash Wednesday afternoon in the Ontario County town of Naples. The crash happened just before 3:45 p.m. Wednesday on Country Road 12, according to the Ontario County Sheriff's Office. Multiple callers have reported a rollover crash with people trapped inside. While emergency crews were responding, dispatchers learned at least one vehicle had caught fire. Deputies said Morgan Gildman, 40, of Cohocton in Steuben County, was driving a sport utility vehicle northbound when, for an unknown reason, an SUV crossed into the southbound lane and struck a pickup truck towing a camper head-on. A second-hand southbound USV, driven by a 34-year-old Fairport man, then rear-ended the camper, causing Gildman's SUV to overturn. Gildman and her 2 children, a 6-year-old and an 8-month-old infant, were trapped inside the overturned SUV, deputies said. The Fairport driver suffered minor injuries, got out of his SUV, and pulled Gilman and the two children from the overturned vehicle as it caught fire. At the same time, an uninvolved motorist stopped and rescued the passenger from the pickup truck. Deputies said both rescues were completed before the vehicles became fully engulfed in flames. One person killed, 2 seriously injured. The pickup driver, Brian P. Johnson, 71, of Naples, was pronounced dead at the scene, according to the sheriff's office. 2 dogs riding in the pickup also died. His passenger, Sharon Johnson, 71, suffered broken legs and was taken to Strong Memorial Hospital. Gleedman was flown by Mercy Flight to Strong Memorial Hospital, where she was admitted to the intensive care unit with serious injuries. Hospital officials said Thursday morning that both women were listed in guarded condition. Thankfully, though, the children have only suffered minor injuries, the deputies said. The investigation continues. The Country Road 12 remained closed for several hours while emergency crews worked at the scene. The Ontario County Sheriff's Office continues to investigate the crash. Missing 7-year-old boy found dead in upstate New York. The Menards Police Department extends its condolences to Harb's family and all those affected by this tragic loss. A 7-year-old boy who was reported missing Sunday afternoon, June 28th, in Menards, Albany County, was found dead, police announced Monday, June 29th. Harvey Nagy was last seen around 4:10 p.m. Sunday in the area of Park Drive in the village of Menards, Albany County. According to the Menands Police Department, family members reported him missing less than 15 minutes later. Police said he was not autistic and nonverbal. Investigators said he was known to wander and had a strong interest in water, climbing, and the outdoors. Police announced Monday morning that Harp had been found dead, but did not release additional details about where he was found or the cause of his death. Circumstances surrounding his death remain under investigation. The Menards Police Department extends its condolences to Harp's family, friends, and all those affected by this tragic loss, the department said in a statement. The family thanks search volunteers. Harp's uncle, Adam Alharby, who traveled from Michigan to help search for the boy, also shared the news on social media. We were devastated to share that he's been found deceased. Thank you to everyone who helped in the search. Woman dies after saving child from the strong current in New York River. Victoria Frelly. New York State Police have identified the woman who drowned in the Hoosick River in Rensselaer County over the weekend. Missing swimmer. Emergency responders were called to the Hoosick River, a tributary of the Hudson River, by State Route 67, near the intersection of Beck Road just after 7 p.m. on Saturday, June 27th, to investigate the report for an unaccounted swimmer, troopers said in a news release. Woman was helping her child to safety. Janice Gans, age 42, of Albany, drowned in the river on Saturday evening, according to state police. Her body was recovered from the water by emergency responders. Gantt Center family were swimming in the area of Hoosick, Rensselaer County, when 2 swimmers became distressed due to a strong current. Gantz helped her child to safely escape the current and went underwater and did not resurface, according to state police. She was pronounced dead at the scene. cause. The drowning appeared to be accidental, according to the state police, but the investigation does continue. State police are asking the public to use extreme caution and utilize flotation devices when swimming in moving water, as the current and its intensity are often not visible from the surface. Alright, you've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the Friday, July 3rd issue of the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Your reader has been Tommy DeLeo. Thank you for listening, and happy 4th of July.